we're doing lesson 15-7 in math, making equal shares but that are different shapes. You should have already watched the video in Pearson Realize, and watching that video you've learned that you can partition an object and still have equal shares even if the shapes are different, as long as it's the same amount of area that is in each section. So let's look at this pizza here. Or it's not a piece, it's a whole pizza, and we need to divide it into 4 equal shares. Okay, 4 equal shares. 4 people are going to share this pizza. Now we can do it in different ways. They don't have to have the same shape. Now the easiest way to do it would be by rows or columns. That's what we've been doing, making 3 lines going across or 3 lines up and down, and then that would tell us they'll be nice and even, and they'll have the same shape, and we would know that it was equal because you can see it very easily. But you can make different shapes and have it be the same amount. If I were to cut this by rows, how many slices, these small squares, would each person get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so as long as somebody gets 4 of these small squares, they're getting the same amount as the other people. So I don't have to cut them in the exact same shape. I can cut it like this, and it is still 4 squares. So I'm going to switch over to my pen so you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this person is getting the same amount as the person down here who had 4 squares. So if we cut this one here, they're getting 4 squares. This person is getting 4 squares. They're different shapes, but they still have 4 squares. And then maybe this person could get the 4 squares in the middle. Which means the last person is getting the 4 squares on this side. Each person is getting 4 squares, but you have very different shapes that make that 4 squares. Great. So, back side, we've learned that we can do it by rows and columns. This is columns, this is rows. And we can have the different shapes and it's still the same because this has 3 boxes, this has 3 boxes, and this has 3 boxes. Now what I like to do, when I like to help my students when they're dividing, sometimes it's hard to figure out, well, how do you decide how many boxes each person is going to get? How do I know if this should be 4 boxes or 3 boxes or 5 boxes? That part is the tricky part. So what I always tell my students is first divide it simply. Do the first one the easy way, either by rows or columns. If you divide it the easy way first, rows or columns, then you can count to see how many boxes each share should have. So if I did this one by columns, I know that they should each have 3. So now to do a different shape, all I have to do is count the 3 boxes. Okay? So that's what we're going to do when we're doing these assignments. One of the ways we're going to partition will always be by rows or columns. Then the second way, you can do it any shape that you want to help you know how many boxes goes in that fun shape. All right, how can you make sure all of the shares are equal? How can we make sure that each person here is getting an equal amount? Count the number of small boxes inside. Okay. You can check by counting the number of boxes in each share. So to make sure it's equal, they each have to have the same number. This has 3, this has 3, this has 3. Okay, they all have to match. Okay, let's go ahead and do some of our work. We need to draw lines to show 2 different ways to divide the same rectangle in 2 equal shares. Now this is going to be my rule for you guys. The first one always has to be either rows or columns. Then that'll tell you how many boxes needs to go in your second one. Your second one could be the odd shape. Okay, so we need 2 equal shares. It's kind of hard to do it by columns this way because we have an odd number. So I'm going to divide it this way. And that makes a nice and even number top and bottom. We have 2 equal shares. How many is on top? 3. How many on the bottom? 3. So now when I want to make my crazy shape over here, I know that there needs to be 3 boxes in each shape. So I can go like this. There we go. I made 2 shares. And there's 3 boxes here and 3 boxes here. So I know it is equal. How many squares are in each equal share of the rectangles? There were 3 squares in each of them. Describe the equal shares and the whole. So since we split it into 2 equal pieces, it is a half of. Each share is a half of when you have 2 pieces. If you have 3 pieces, if you were to divide it into 3 sections, then it would be a third of. If you did it into 4 sections, it would be called a fourth of. Okay, and each half is, since we have 2 sections and they're each called a half, we have 2 halves. 2 halves together make the whole. All right, moving on. Is that the right number? Oh, I had my paper upside down. There we go. Number 4. We need to go ahead and draw lines to show 2 different ways to divide the same rectangle into 4 equal shares. So look at the directions carefully. We don't need 2 shares this time. This time we need 4 equal shares. 4 people are sharing it. So the first box, I want you to do rows and columns. The second box we can do crazy. Okay. Now I can't do 4 rows and columns, so I'm actually here going to do it where we do the plus sign. There we go. Okay, and I have 4 pieces that are the same shape, so it's easy for me to tell that that's equal. And then I can double check how many was in each share. 1, 2, 3. Let's check this one. 1, 2, 3. Check this bottom one, 1, 2, 3, and this last one, 1, 2, 3. Oh good, they all have the same number of squares. So now on this side, when I want to go crazy, they need to have 3 boxes in each share. So I can do 1, 2, 3, let's say. Let's make an L shape here. This one has 3 boxes. It is going to be an equal amount. 1, 2, 3. Let's do these 3 together now. Okay, sort of like playing Tetris here. 1, 2, 3. Now we have 3 and then 3. Okay, how many squares are in each share? They each had 3 squares. Describe the equal shares and the whole. So, since we split it into 4 sections, we partitioned it into 4 equal shares. Each share is a fourth of. There were 4 shares. So each one is a fourth of the whole. Let me erase that so it looks neater. Each whole is Okay, I have 4/4. So I have 4 sections. So we're going to say each whole is 4/4. Okay, let's do another one. Draw lines to show 2 different ways to divide the same rectangle into 3 equal shares. So this time, 3 equal shares. Okay, so I can do rows or columns to make it nice and even. Now I can't do 3 rows because if I go side to side, that'll make 4 rows. So that won't work. I'm going to do columns up and down. And now I can see I have 3 equal shares. Okay. How many boxes are in each share? Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in each share. So now when I'm over here and I want to make crazy shapes, I can do whatever I want as long as it has 4 connected to each other. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's go. I like to make L shapes, but you don't have to always make L shapes. 1, 2, oh wait, I did too many. Look, that's 5. So let's fix that. Okay, 1. So that did not work, going all the way across like that. So it'll work if I take 1 away though, on the bottom. Now I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do these 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see that? And now this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so how can equal shares in a rectangle have different shapes? Even though they look different, how can they be equal? Because they have the same number of boxes inside of them. So they have the same amount in each share. Okay, this one had 4, this one had 4, and this one had 4. Just like these each had 4. Even though they have different shapes. Oh, I need a period at the end of my sentence there. Okay, back side. Alan wants to share his pan of cornbread with 3 friends. Alan and his friends will each get an equal share. How many pieces will be in each share? So I have 3 friends. I need to draw 2 lines to make the equal shares. So I can't really go this way to make 2 easily between these squares, but I can draw 2 lines this direction easily. So let's do it this way. 1, 2. And how many pieces will each friend get? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like each friend is getting 4 pieces. Greg says that equal shares can be different in shape and size. Is Greg correct? Explain. Can they be different in the shape and the size? Well, the size is going to be the same. They're going to have the same number of squares, but the shape can be different. Okay, so we're going to write here the shape can be different. But the size or number of squares is the same. Okay, number 11. Donna drew the line in this rectangle to make 2 equal shares. Are the shares equal? Why or why not? So in order to check to see if they're equal, what do I have to do? You have to count the squares to see if they match. How many squares are on here? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to count that one yet. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 full squares. And then look at here. I have a half and a half. If you put two halves together, we have one more whole square. So 9 plus the 2 halves would equal 10 squares. Let's count how many are on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, one up here, 9. 9 whole squares plus 2 halves, just like the other one. And those 2 halves make a whole, so it actually is 10 squares. So did she divide it into 2 equal shares? Yes. They are equal because they both have 10 squares. Okay, and now number 12. Meg divides a rectangle into 3 equal shares that are not the same shape, which could be Meg's rectangle. So this one has 3 shares, but they are the same shape, and the direction says hers are not the same shape, so that can't be it. These are 3 shares, but again, they're the same shape, so that can't be it. Here I see 1, 2, 3 shares, but wait a minute, are they equal? No, this one has 1 box, this one has 1 box, and this one has 2 boxes. That's not equal. Let's see this last one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We have equal shares. They each have 3 boxes, and they're not the same shape, so this is the one that she could have done it. Great. I'm going to see your work in a little bit.